Welcome to our documentary. West Point has recently dramatically changed schedules, moving from 40 lessons of 55 minutes to 30 lessons of 75 minutes, with a free day every other week. Our team of expert sociology students decided to look into this change's effect on cadet performance by conducting interviews and surveying cadet GPAs before and after the change. Almost all of our respondents had positive feelings towards the change, with one teacher describing it off-camera as a night and day switch. Recent research has shown tenuous to no relationship between the time spent in class and student performance. Many scholars believe that when attendance is optional, high attendance does not lead to good grades, but is rather indicative of the type of student an individual is. Within the West Point model, where attendance is compulsory, the situation is obviously different. With all of this background research in mind, we interviewed a variety of students from myriad disciplines to get their thoughts on how longer classes has impacted their performance. What opportunities and or challenges did you foresee with the new schedule being implemented?
I think conversely, with 10 fewer lessons, that's a challenge in developing a syllabus, because you have 10 fewer lessons, even though we appreciated the longer or more time in the classroom. We had to think not more carefully, but think carefully about what choices do we make, what texts are we going to engage. Given that we have fewer lessons, we have to make the most of those 30 lessons. And so it's sort of, a challenge in that sense. I don't know fully how much you all take advantage of study days. I've heard really positive feedback that of course, it allows you the freedom to get a little extra rest, but also either focus on a big project or get ahead of something or catch up. I think that is, in general, I appreciate that extra time that you all have, and also that we have as faculty. At the same time, it can be frustrating to hear, well, it's a Tuesday night, so I'm not doing homework. Again, anecdotally. And so in that sense, it's like, okay, are cadets really taking full advantage of that time that General Jeb tried to give back to you?
Do you feel that West Point's focus on training inappropriately spills over into the academic setting where it is not really applicable or beneficial to student learning?
Yeah, that's sort of throwing the grenade in the room, that question. But interesting, now that I hear you say that out loud, what was the adjective you used at the beginning of the question?
Inappropriately.
Inappropriately, yeah. So I think that's a charged word to use. I mean, we're at the military academy, or the military academy, and so I think it's hard to say that's inappropriate that you all have military training during the academic year. I personally think there's probably ways that it could be more efficiently scheduled. Again, I get bits and pieces from random cadets, and so it's just, I don't have a complete spreadsheet about how all of it is planned. But the impression I have as a faculty member is that you all sort of, one of the words you used, bleeds, was it? Like, that it's sort of spread out quite a bit. Whereas I think potentially the training that you all receive during the academic year could be more efficiently scheduled so that it doesn't feel so spread out.
What was your initial reaction to the schedule change?
I thought that it would give more time for discussion in class, but I also thought that it would drag out a lot longer, so it would feel terrible.
What opportunities and challenges did you foresee with the new schedule being implemented?
I didn't know how they would mix both 55-minute and 75-minute classes without having an overly confusing schedule. I think that was the main one. And just like teachers getting confused teaching both of the different ones to us.
And have you seen those kind of challenges arise?
No, I think the schedule's been pretty straightforward. I think we got used to it pretty quickly. And teachers seem to be able to teach both of them independently, so I haven't seen any issues with this.
So the current research we've done suggests that grades are affected not the most by how much time we spend in class, but by the experiences and activities that are done in those class hours. Do you agree with that conclusion based on your experiences?
I think that the time spent in class allows for more activities to be done. So I think so I believe that makes sense, that like it would be more dependent on the actual activities that were able to be accomplished.
So with all this in mind, are there any changes you would propose to academy leadership in regards to how classes are structured, time is available, that kind of thing?
I think that very careful consideration about which classes are 75-minute and which classes are 55-minute is the thing that I would be most aware of, because I've taken, this semester especially, I've taken a lot of classes that the material could be condensed down into 55 minutes and still be effective, and other classes that would, that activities would enhance. And so I think just adjusting which ones are which is the most important part.
Okay. Coming from your particular background as computer science, a lot of STEM, do you feel that the study days have been effective and the longer 75-minute classes have been effective in your performance?
I'm a big fan and proponent of it. I think the study days, honestly, it's just uninterrupted work time that I really appreciate. If I have a large project, whether it be like group project or just homework assignment that I can't get, I think one of the best things you can do is just sit there and work on it without interruptions, just at your own pace. And I think that it allows for a comprehension that you can't really get if you break it up every night into like, okay, like, it's 11 o'clock and I still have these tasks to do for the next day. You kind of rush them along, I think. But those study days kind of let you slow down and actually understand the content instead of just trying to, pass the RIP the next day or just trying to, do the reading so you said you do the reading. So I think it helps with like comprehension and stuff.
So the research we've done so far has indicated that it's not really the time we spend in class that's the biggest impact on grades, but what classroom activities we do with that time. Based on your experiences, would you agree with that?
Could you say that again? Sorry.
So based on our research, we found it's not like the time you spend in class or the amount of times your class meets, but rather what you do during that time in class that has the biggest impact on grades. So would you agree with that based on your experiences?
100%. I mean, good teachers will use the time effectively, and bad teachers won't. And that's the bottom line in terms of like how much you learn in class specifically.
Do you feel that cadets use study days effectively?
I mean, they do what they want with them, right? Whether or not it's effective is kind of their own prerogative. But I know a lot of people who do sleep through it. I know a ton of people who grind through it. It just depends on the individual. I couldn't say for like cadets in general, because like everybody has their own goals for study days, I mean, I don't even do much academics on study days most of the time. I usually use it to just relax. And for me, that's like a good way to use it because I need that time. So.
Yeah, I agree with like his point on like what's it depends on what's effective or what you call like how you would define what you got done on that day. Because like if you're just super tired and you've been like stressed out, then like use that study day to sleep and like just get some rest or go blow off some stress. Or like if they do know that they have a lot to do, like I've seen plenty of people like know what they have and then like get work done. So, and I've had like a mix of those days personally too. Like I've just done nothing all day. And I've like also worked all day, so.
The relationship between student performance and time spent in class has been studied since 1932. Some researchers have found a strong connection between high class attendance and high grades, attributing this relationship to how in-class exercises provide students with a variety of ways to come in contact with course materials. Instructor and cadet feedback indicates that having longer class periods allows teachers to facilitate richer in-class discussions and go deeper into topics that they have been able to in previous semesters. The trend fits with what we found on an anonymous survey of 23 randomly selected cadets across the court. Examining trends across semesters, cadets typically experience a small positive to no change in GPA. However, many researchers disagree with these findings, believing that too many other factors go into student performance to make attendance an accurate predictor. We have that as West Point moves forward, the semester schedule will continually be examined to provide a beneficial experience for both cadets and instructors.
Have a good night, folks.
Awesome.
The research jeez. The first word